All right, so we are live. Welcome everyone to the Earth Awakenings live show number 3. It's our third show. We started off a couple days ago here, and we are starting to do this the live show. So there will be a show pretty much every day. There'll be some days off, but Monday through Saturday, the plan is to have shows. Probably not on Sundays, but we'll be having shows every day. And you can always check up at the upper left part of the Discord where it says events. You can click there and see if there's a show for the following day, and we'll always try to make sure that that's listed up there 24 hours before, so everyone can know there's a show. And yeah, so yesterday we did the first hour. We did the definitive Earth measurement tests hour. So that went great. I think we're going to continue doing that probably at least once a week, maybe even twice a week. We'll do probably the first hour. We'll do the definitive Earth measurement test hour, and that's a time that we can be able to brainstorm either past ideas that we've come up with in terms of getting measurements that can be definitive in terms of like physical measurements of the Earth. So we can either ideas that we've had in the past that we can review on and look back on, or ideas for the future that we can work on, and whether that involves the materials, the funding, and the coordination to bring that together. And of course, it could be an open panel. That section's an open panel, so anyone can contribute or bring additional ideas to the table. So yeah, so that went well. I enjoyed that, and yeah, so just kind of yeah, I think that's kind of most for the introduction, but just wanted to open it up a little bit to the room. And oh yeah, I guess the last thing actually, just before I complete the introduction, I was also just going to mention that I've been hosting the show, for the first 3 shows here, but this show is not necessarily only something that's hosted by me, meaning that essentially it's just the Earth Awakenings live show, and anyone who's a live stream host or on the moderator team can be involved in hosting and co-hosting these shows. And then also, anyone else on the server that would like to, as I mentioned before, either do like a presentation or manage, have like a discussion on a particular topic, or to moderate a debate, anything like that. Anyone's welcome to host as well. So there's a section down below all the voice channels where you can submit a ticket. So if you submit a ticket there, basically, let us know what you'd like to do, and then we can schedule that for one of the following shows. So that's open to anyone that if you want to do like a presentation or moderate a debate or anything like that. And we do have some things that we're already in the works, kind of planning in terms of events like that. So wanted to mention that. And then yeah, just the last thing is anyone who watching on YouTube, and also who watching it later. This show is being run from the Earth Awakenings Discord server. So you'll see in the lower right-hand part of the stream, you'll see a link at the bottom. You can put that into any web browser, and it'll allow you to join the server, so you can join the conversation. And then it's also in the YouTube description as well. So yeah, welcome everyone to the show. And there's nothing major on the plan, right? On the schedule for this exact show. So I'm just kind of open it to the room, and if anyone has any particular ideas, and we can get something going. So yeah, welcome everyone.
Welcome to Geo Show. How's it going tonight, guys? I just fucking with you.
Yeah. Like we call that the passive aggressive thing we talked about yesterday. Geo tells everyone, "Hey, on the moderator team, you can host." Jeremy says, "Hey, it's Geo Show."
We had a really good after show last night. What were we talking about? I might want to do a presentation here one day on the surface of the sphere. People think that's 2D. It's crazy. Yeah, craziness.
Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah, you and that was in that was like in the late after show. I think after the first show. Yeah, you and Ed were discussing that, and that was a good discussion. I mean, that was there was a lot to that. So that would be a good topic for sure. I would like to kind of hear that hashed out, even more, because yeah, that is an interesting one.
I mean, it's a really simple thing. It's not even. I don't even think it's that complicated. But I don't know.
It's really just getting them to understand how they're wrong and then explaining the actual surface. I mean, it's really good too because you had people on both sides. Don was in there for the Globe saying, "Hey, this is what you're." See, it really is a misconception. Like Ed has a very deep misconception of flat Earth. So he's like, "This it has to be 2D." And you got even, that's what I'm saying. You got Don saying, "Hey, dude, that's not what they're talking about." And he almost
Yeah,
gets there, right? He's just one more, like, one small, centimeter away from like getting it, and then Cog Disc sinks in, and he
that
just
that is a big. Hold on, that is a big misconception, though. That you hear the words flat Earth. That's why some people try to stay away from that term, flat Earth, right? Because there's a lot of there's a lot of jokes made about it, and it makes people think certain things, like a space, a pizza disc flying in space, and it also assumes like the shit's 2D. I heard a guy come into 24/7 once making that argument, like, I can debunk flat Earth right now. There's elevation changes. It's not 2D. Flat is 2D.
Yeah, we discussed that one a little bit on the first show. Yeah, and like the idea where, yeah, because there is the definition of flat where something like doesn't have any variation in elevation, that kind of idea, like something flat. But then there's also like the orientation description of it where it's horizontally level.
the other thing where you dive deeper into the topic. The first description is just to say, "Hey, the cosmology or the nature of creation is not an oblate paroid hamburger in space." That right there is wrong, and here's what's more accurate. And flat Earth better fits that than lava-filled, water-covered space ball.
I'm all
Fair.
for the repeatable experiments, man. The consistent evidence. You could throw any theory you want out there, and then you need to put evidence to match it. You know what I mean?
And even then, if they got the evidence, do they still allow a no thank you at the end? If they're like, here, they've got all the facts, all the evidence, and then you've got no choice. You will comply. That's
And,
like, I think you're faking it because, I feel like you
I
tricked me
mean, we got
somehow.
some of our own evidence too, though. For alternate ideas, there is some. Don't get me wrong. It's not like they constantly act like there's none, and then they want to pick apart what it is or isn't, and shift it back to their model with their theory, and assuming that all their variables are correct. And that's where I think people should be a little more flexible, because you could throw out plenty of flat theories and be like, look, 200 miles, look, high altitude balloon footage. You know what I'm saying? Like, constantly, but it's a little bit. How y'all doing today, man? I want to say what's up to Gio and Jeremy, man. Just come in, saw y'all started the thing on time. Thought that was cool.
Yeah, doing well. It's always good to hear you, Don. Yeah, how are things with you?
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, we're into the Christmas. 2021's almost over.
Oh, yeah, that reminds me. Musk is already getting ready to go down. Investigation opened today about something with a self-driving car was not self-driving at all. They faked the footage. It was supposed to be like a conceptual demonstration or something like
People
that.
are actually using that, though. Like, people are using this actively in cities and shit.
And it's going to be like a big deal when someone gets hurt because it's not designed. It doesn't have that capability.
There's flaws. There's a few problems with it, but I mean, they're coming along. This is a huge thing right here. I honestly can't believe they let it get this far, because this raises efficiency by a lot. But just all throughout humanity, think about it: 5 million Americans earn a living through driving. You knock that out, the cars will stop and start more efficiently. Think of it: we slam on the gas and the brakes all the time. If the car is doing it automatically, and every car is doing it, the traffic will be less. We'll be using less energy, and they don't want this kind of efficiency. Really, efficiency is the enemy of our economy in America, at least. I don't know about other countries, but
See, it comes back to this thing where there was a Nikolai. There's like a self-driving truck that was supposed to be produced that I guess went into some sort of securities exchange fraud, because he knew that he wasn't going to be able to produce this self-driving truck, and he sold stock after people invested anyway. So now they're saying if Elon also does not produce a self-driving truck after he sold stock and made a profit, that would fit the same bill. This like trucking company type stuff. Thunderfoot dropped a video about it that made some predictions about what's going to happen. You think he's predicting like some sort of domino effect? As soon as one of he thinks Elon's shuffling money through all the different companies, keeping them afloat, using defense spending, defense money from SpaceX. And
I mean, he
later,
gets all kinds of government reimbursements and all his shit subsidized. Every time he sells an electric car, he gets money from the government. I don't think he's losing money. He got PayPal going, all types of shit. He probably made billions off his little Bitcoin venture he just fucking did. I don't even think Elon. Look, if this space wasn't like real, like they say it is, and it's something else, I don't think they would even let Elon know. Like that's some shit that you're not going to let nobody knows. The head of NASA. I mean, maybe the head of NASA might know, but I don't know. I feel like there's going to be very few people that know what's actually going on. Like the guy, the CEO, they always say there'd have to be millions and hundreds of thousands of people in on this. But if you think about it, like I had somebody who was I having, maybe it was Eggshells or somebody else. I was having name the people off that have to be involved with it, that would have to know. And it turns out like there's not a lot. You got like 600 astronauts, couple, I'll give you a couple hundred people at NASA. Who else? Like there's not these hundreds of thousands of people that need to be in on it. The teachers aren't in on it. They get told something, they fucking teach it.
Yeah, the compartmentalization can be very, very, like those boundaries can be very rigid. It's like the idea of like the people that worked at Enron, how many of them actually knew what was going on, that kind of thing, or in any corporation like that. Yeah.
They're saying two people at Enron knew it. And one of them has a heart attack and is cremated instantly.
I mean, it is interesting to think of some of these guys like your Elon or your Neil deGrasse, like how much do they know? It is interesting to think, like, are they just sort of lost in the sauce and they're just like being front men and they're being paid and, enough to where they're able to just sort of go with it? Or are they, purposefully deceptive?
Well, that's what he did, like a coded tweet talking about that he just wants to be a social media influencer, that he's going to quit his jobs and, just start relaxing and taking it easy. So like, what was he talking about?
But yeah, I mean, you wouldn't have to have that many in on it because most of what NASA is it's a PR campaign. Propaganda just in terms of media. I mean, ultimately what they pump out is media. It's like video and articles and everything that they do. But how much of that is, actual,
well, they do have one of the biggest green screens in the world. A few Hollywood movies have rented the green screen from them, and they were actually fighting, saying this wasn't ethical, that NASA was renting it out, but that they allowed NASA to do it, claiming that it reduces their budget or something. I don't know, but it's not even a question that they have one of the biggest green screens in the world, so big that Hollywood rents it from them.
I believe that 90% of NASA's research and development into everything else apart from space travel. As in, like, when, advancements in technology that we'll take for granted in 10 years' time. It's, the mobile phone comes out, the technology gets better and better and better. And I think NASA's research and developments, a lot of that is to do with the new inventions and, et cetera, progression of mankind.
Bro, they've been growing lettuce in ISS for fucking 10 years, 20 years now. Like, what inventions have we gotten from NASA?
Yeah, government's never invented anything.
Well, maybe NASA has invented something. I mean, what have they given us, though?
T-shirts.
They invented T-shirts.
outstanding.
I'm saying that's all they sell, man. You know what I mean? So I think
I
that's.
know, but
I
you,
can't
they,
think of
what have
one
they?
thing.
How have they advanced this technologically? Like, what did they invent?
Astronaut ice cream.
Dippin' Dots.
Yeah,
We got Dippin' Dots from them.
No,
That's
like
big.
freeze dried ice cream
Yeah,
that
that's
they
those
don't
Dippin'
use.
Dots.
You got Velcro.
Aviation.
If
And
you
that's
oh, go ahead, Brad.
What'd they
yeah.
give
No,
us?
NASA would deal with aviation mostly. You got Boeing, and you got all the subsidiary companies that make parts for this and make parts for that. If they make the instrumentation and all their Lockheed Martin, so many more companies, you got the companies that make the instrumentation for all the planes in the world. It's it's kind of if you wanted to rig it, you got your fingers in the pile already. That's my take on that.
Yeah, I've often seen it as it's like essentially it's like a front company. It's like a propagandized front company because they do have a lot of engineers and people that are working on different devices and different materials and things like that. So
You,
in
you
terms
know
of
who
like
did
being
some?
like it's like farming engineering for what they're really using that equipment for. And in my viewpoint, not going to space at all, but they are still getting a lot of engineering out of it all.
You
Here's
know who
one.
did some great work on NASA was Jaronism, right? He did a couple videos or at least one video I saw where he went through and saw everyone that has a dealings with NASA and how much money they're getting. It's just like crazy amounts of money from all these companies all over the place. So
There's a lot of money moving around, and some big chief is funding it all. It's almost like the devil's funding everyone. I was just saying to Crit earlier that on another chat I was on earlier, like Australia, everyone's getting vaccinated. It's like everyone, and for the people that aren't going to get vaccinated, it's almost like they're going to go fucking underground or something because they're getting fucking really harsh on it. And I don't. It's madness, I think. And I was not expecting it to
babe, you
come
want
from a
some of
country.
this? My bad.
One thing is that people will misappropriate or miscredit an invention and give it credit to NASA, the U.S. federal government. Like Kev just had posted aluminum foil. Then you actually look it up. You do some research. You find out aluminum foil was invented in 1910 by someone in Switzerland. But yet somehow the government propaganda was so thick that they were able to convince people that they invented it some 50 years later. That without the U.S. federal government, no one would know what aluminum foil is, or no one would have it. It's like this rewrite of history is one of the more sinister things that the government's doing. It's like taking people's destiny, their legacy, and they're stealing it. They're actually like robbing. It's almost like grave robbing.
I mean, yeah, I don't
Do
know
you-
where that came from with the aluminum foil thing, but
Yeah, I don't think he's going to
I
talk about it. Kev, he's here. You want Kev? Where did you hear that? Where did you learn that NASA invented aluminum foil?
I'm gonna go, guys. I'll see you later, guys.
All right,
later
take
on.
care.
I mean, what have they really invented?
Nothing.
Did they give us like Tang and Velcro and all that shit that the myths
No,
say?
Velcro actually came from a guy who used to do a lot of hiking, and he would notice that some frayed parts of his pants, plant material would stick to. I can't remember his name right now, but that was decades earlier also.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard that story. Those little things, those little balls that stick to you and you can't fucking get them off. But yeah, I mean, not really that many people have to be in on it. You know what I mean? Just take the CEO at Dish Network. He pays to get a signal to all his dishes, right? The signal gets to the dishes, what? He ain't complaining. Who cares? He doesn't need to know, oh, hey, we're faking space and This is how we're doing it. Just thought you might need to know.
Yeah, and that thing with
my-
Starlight or whatever, Starlink. I mean, supposedly that's not even working. There's people who are paying for the service that aren't getting service. You have to buy like some sort of $500 dish first. I mean, who knows what that thing is doing?
Yo, Crit, can you hear me? Jeremy,
Yeah.
Crit.
Gotcha.
Was I interrupting you, or could you guys not hear me?
No, I couldn't. This is the first time you've chimed in since you talked about the start of the show. I think so, right?
Well, I wanted to chime in on kind of the point that you're on now and how Jeremy opened it with he kind of said journalism, did some good videos on NASA and stuff. There's one video, man, that's very compelling. That's either going to be put out there as more like spoof bullshit or like another thing that they're trying to hide and bury under the rug, right? And I've said it, and we need to find this video that Globebusters put out, or at least mirrored or highlighted on their show, where it showed both aircraft above the moon looking down at each other simultaneously. Like the orbiter and the lander was up going around the moon communicating. One shot, the orbiter was looking down at the lander, and the other shot, the lander was looking down at the orbiter. So it's ridiculous, but I cannot find this. And if there's people listening, I want to keep getting this message out there. We need to find this. Thank you.
Yeah, that's tough geometrically. I know what you're talking about, and I've seen it before. I don't know if the Globers ever came up for that. It seems tough to me for that to geometrically happen, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I can't even evident it anymore. So y'all help me out, man. It's there.
These guys are pretty good at finding shit like that.
There's
It's not a
some that,
gift.
there needs to be there needs to be like the absolute hybrid, that them trying to jump up and down, them trying to bend over, falling down, can't get. I mean, there could be just 90 seconds of that shit, and it could wake up like half of the population, bro. Like for real.
Oh yeah, that would make a good TikTok right there. Definitely. Anyway, if anyone's listening, try to hook us up and find that video right there for us.
I mean, they have
It's right
this,
before it's right before the lunar lander was about to connect or had just deployed from another. When the two spacecraft were either about to join each other or separate. They had they had camera shots from both of them, and both of them were looking at the craft, and then they could see the moon below it.
Yeah.
So.
And you can't find it. Like if you look at the official ones, like it's not there anymore. You probably got to get into like the real record, or I'm open minded. It could have been like misrepresented as well from the new side. But yeah, man, there's a lot of good content out there, but a lot of times you have to wade through it, and then there's just a few minutes or a highlight, you know what I mean, of a point within minutes or hours of other stuff, and like all the top things like really need to really just.
I mean, bro, I got a 6 hour. I've seen a 6 hour compilation of NASA fakery. So I mean, it's out there.
But that's what I mean, though, Jeremy. I bet I mean, I probably wouldn't be satisfied with that 6 hour. And that 6 hour, there's probably 90% of it is probably not good stuff. It's probably okay, or like it's probably bullshit, or like a lot of times, dude, they come back and it's like, yo, we're overreaching here. We're jumping the gun. So, like I'm saying, there's a few things that are really, really actually compelling, like that they really can't answer. And those things are what needs to be. Like some of these things, the jumping up and down, dude, they've never answered it. They fucking lose their shit every time you bring this shit up. Like, look at this motherfucker can't bend over. Look at the dude. Why he can't? It's terrible.
Yeah, the Apollo moon landings are tough. I mean, I've known those were fake since about the 90s, late 90s. There's even some Globers that are a little wishy-washy on the moon landings, but
Yeah, there's people on the globe side who are so convinced that Apollo is faked that they're saying flat Earth is a controlled opposition meant to try to discredit people actually exposing what Nixon did in the 60s. They will, like, if flat
was
Earthers,
Nixon the president during all the moon Apollo missions?
yeah, there's only, I guess, there's one of them, I think like 8, that just kind of did a roki doke or something that he wasn't, that he took office just moments later. So other than that, the Apollo mission was completely contained within the
Anytime
Nixon.
we've landed on the moon, was Nixon in office?
Yes.
I mean, bro, if you can't trust Nixon, who are you going to trust, though?
Yeah. Exactly right. I would say, give me one other thing that Nixon did that was above board, and then I'll look at the Apollo program again. But no one can find anything. Literally nothing this guy did was, legal. It was just one illegal action after another. And so suddenly, why is the Apollo program different? Even more so when he was told, "Hey, why are you doing this?" "Oh, I'm doing it for world peace." Then why are you carpet bombing third world countries in Asia if you're doing something for peace?
Well, yeah, it reminds me of just another idea for the show that we can do, which is like space hour, basically, where we could do an hour just looking at all of the just space videos and moon landing stuff. Because there's so much of that content, and a lot of people often think like, if they haven't looked into some of these things, how could it be faked? But that's what's interesting, is to actually look into a lot of it and see the inconsistencies, and which a lot of us have seen so many of them throughout the years. But there's just like endless, like you were mentioning Jeranism, Jeremy. Because Jaron has done some great work on going back and looking at a lot of these just videos and all kinds of inconsistencies that are and really just evidence of just pure fakery on so many levels. So it's a whole topic in and of itself to look into.
Yeah, Brandon used to do that every once in a while. We do the first half hour something on a video or a photo or a headline or something. Yeah. A lot of the headlines are like clickbait, though. Even for these supposedly scientific organizations, they got these clickbait titles, which is weird. But
Yeah, I remember one I did for that show was when they talked about that the scientists were listening to the sounds of space, and they had like spooky sounds for Halloween. Go to NASA's gift shop and download creepy, eerie sounds for your Halloween party.
It reminds me of a lyric in one of the ODD songs where he's like, "NASA is the world's largest magic show." Just makes me think of that, where it's like, I mean, okay,
well,
like
that Halloween thing made me think. You ever see the jack-o'-lantern son? That was a good one. One Halloween they came out with this.
Or the
picture,
Turkey Nebula for Thanksgiving.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, they do it every holiday. They'll do some goofy.
They had a Turkey Nebula. Let's see it. Put it on the big screen.
The other thing I was thinking we could do just on my list here is we could do just like a kind of a side idea, but just kind of throwing it out there because I was just looking at the space hour, because we were talking about space, but also it'd be cool to sort of like basically do like individual interviews with people of like how they came to their viewpoint on what the Earth is and their cosmology. Whether they have looked into the Earth being not a globe and then still think it's a globe, or whether they have come to the conclusion that it's a stationary planar surface, like a flat Earth type idea, and all of that. So I think that would be cool. I always love hearing people's kind of journey when they start thinking about or looking into this or researching these different kinds of. So I think that'd be cool to kind of hear people's journey and their perspectives as to where they started, what their journey has been, and then where they're at now. It's just kind of another cool thing that we could do.
Definitely, that sounds like something good. But let's see this Turkey Nebula. Were you serious with that, correct, or no?
Yeah, big time. Just I can look it up here in a
Put
second.
it in put it in the chat. Okay. See the Turkey Nebula. We're putting it right next to the Halloween jack-o'-lantern son.
Yeah, give me just 2 secs here. I gotta.
And they put this out right at Thanksgiving.
Yeah, like Happy Thanksgiving from NASA.
I mean, are they claiming it's a real picture though, or were they just like fucking around?
No, they're right here.
We're putting it in their file. Yeah, I just pulled it up. I got an incredibly CGI created graphic that literally shows like a turkey blended into some fake space looking stuff.
So they were just fucking around, probably. Then, all right. Because I think the
No,
Jack Lantern Sun one was supposed to be real. What?
no, they actually think it's incredible Turkey Nebula.
So that's like a photo from Hubble, or
I mean, none of these
you know
things
what's
are
funny
photos.
about Hubble? You know what's funny about Hubble? Hubble and Adobe Photoshop they share the same anniversary, which you could chalk that up to a coincidence. Okay, but just so happens the year a Photoshop comes out, and all of a sudden we're getting these amazing, pictures from space. Makes you think.
I dropped a direct link from NASA. Astronomy picture of the day, November 26, 2020. Turkey Nebula, credited to Eric Coles. Supposedly 13 light years away, so you'll be okay.
13 light years
Oh, they-
across, it says.
Across, there we go, yeah. I just barely glanced at it. I just wanted to make sure I was posting the right thing.
That
See,
looks
these-
pretty
Oh, go ahead.
turkey-like. That looks like a turkey right there. I'm not gonna front.
Yeah, it's completely silly.
Could
It
be
was
a little
published on-
pareidolia, but
Yep, Thursday, November 26th is when it was published. It says it's 1,500 light years away. And there it is. It's a turkey.
And one thing they can't survive is prove it. Prove that, right? And they're done. 2 words that shuts government down almost every time. Prove it.
Are they trying to claim that this is? I'm trying to see if it tells where the like roots of this photo is. Like it doesn't seem to have.
it had to have come from Hubble. I don't think there's anything else taking pictures like that. I mean, I don't know. I could be wrong. There ain't nothing else checking for 13. Or I don't know, because they claim to take a picture of a black hole. So who knows?
That was a good
Who
one
knows?
too. Yeah, here's a actual picture of a black hole. It's not a
My
picture. It's
favorite
not a black hole.
favorite when it was when they had Snoop Dogg's blunt and they zoomed
Yeah.
out. They had the picture of the black hole, but then they zoomed out and it was Snoop Dogg's blunt. That was fucking awesome.
I got one where it's a beer bottle, then they lift it up.
So what else we got? Oh, we're gonna put a challenge out. Anyone that thinks that from the star during a sextant measurement, anyone that thinks from the star to the GP to the observer, if they think that those two lines form a 90-degree angle and can do the trig for it, Ruhif's willing to debate you on that. Just putting that out there. Or did that happen on the show or the after show last night? I don't even remember.
Yeah, he was asked like, will you debate the sextant? And he's like, no. He's like, what will you debate? He'll debate someone who thinks it can do trig. Any flat earther who can do trig. So I guess that's kind of where it started. And so if
Well,
you
the
got
trig on that 90-degree angle specifically, because they're saying you can't do it because it doesn't exist because Earth curve. So that's the challenge out there. If we got any sextant guys, want to see the trig.
Yeah, so he wants he wants somebody to do trig to get distances between the GPs and the circle of equal altitudes. Is that the idea that he's trying to do?
Yeah, to make like a claim on how far away a star is, and then just say it's farther than that. And you're like, well, sure. Well, how much farther is it? I don't know.
Well, I was
How
debating
do you
for
debate
days.
that? How do you debate someone who doesn't have a claim? Like someone doesn't even have a claim, and you want to debate them.
I was debating them for days on this. They're making a triangle thing. Now, they might not be actively making a triangle when they're doing a sextant measurement with the GP and the star and the observer. However, you do have 3 points, right? You get the point of the GP, the point of the star, and the point of the observer. That's a fucking triangle right there. So if they like it or not, they are making a triangle out of this. Regardless if it's a right angle triangle or not, I don't know. But they were denying forever that there was even a triangle there.
Yeah, the funny part too is like this wasn't even a talking point until flat earthers started talking about it. As soon as QE and Nathan Oakley and stuff start saying, "Hey, the sextant thing, this is a really good proof for flat Earth," all of a sudden, flat Earth, like globe Earth experts in sextants who had never even heard of a sextant prior, suddenly they just know all about it. And their dad was an expert navigator, and they have a cousin who works on a spice freighter for the Republic, and
We do get a lot of experts pop up in every kind of anything you talk about, yeah. But this was mostly 10th Man, I think, from Oakley's crew there that started this whole sextant thing. If I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, he's part. I should have said 10th Man. I heard that last night too. Yeah, 10th Man from that same group of people. The what they call the Globe Busters or something like that, or what's their group? They got a name for their group.
Well, Adam or not Adam Aiken. 10th Man, just Oakley's. I don't know Oakley's panel. I think he might be on the Ballbusters panel too for QE.
Okay.
Shouts out to all them guys.
Yeah, they got this like a server, right, where they run daily debates and then pretend like flat Earth are not offering debate. There's been daily debates, like every day, for years, like debates daily.
Yeah, I mean, and they just added a new housekeeping question, which those are usually rock fucking solid, man. Those housekeeping questions that Oakley asked, they just added this curved adjacent thing. I'm guessing that has something to do with the sextant. There's some kind of geometry or something. I don't know, but I have to. That's why I want to get one of our sextant guys in here to iron this shit out so we can really get down to the bottom of it. So 10th Man, if you're listening, holler at us. We'd love to have you on.
Yeah, I mean, he's got his voice over there already. I don't think he needs a.
Yeah, but he's a cool guy. He might come on. I've never talked with him personally. I have talked with a few of them dudes over there, like Chocolate's my boy. Shouts out to Chocolate. QE.
Remember, like the first day I was on Brandon's, where I presented that the WS geometry quiz, where he said as his only proof of the globe, not one flat earther will be able to answer this. So like I answered it like instantly. I go, the answer is 12, and then he's like, and I showed him how to answer it, and I said, now can you answer it if globe? Because this is if flat Earth.
How is this? What is this linked to exactly? Like, it's the one you just posted.
Yeah.
So how is this linked to cosmology, or if you want to just describe it?
Yeah. So like right here, right? So that AB line can only be solved if it's flat. Now let's say if you've got these two circles and you put them on like a curved surface. Solve now. And it's like they can't do it. It's unsolvable. So even the fundamental breakdown of geometry doesn't work inside. You couldn't use the Earth. Like for me, I could have two balls with a radius of 9 and 4, put them together, and then solve.
You have two balls.
Yeah, using the Earth. I could lay them on the Earth and solve it. We're on a curved surface, you can't.
I'm just talking about the reality. You have two balls, you know that.
Yeah,
it's actually interesting, Craig. I almost wonder if that could be used in an Earth measurement test.
Yeah, that's why I called it my side-by-side method. And that I could show you some more. This is basically WS banned me the first time because I asked him, "Hey, can you solve that for a curved line?" And then basically going back and forth, and he's like, well, anyway, not to rehash that stuff, but then later on I told him this is a side-by-side method. This is the same method you do when you put an RV into a campground to make sure your RV is sitting okay, and you can put a block in between the two tires.
Yeah, so geometrically, exactly. You've basically got a chord that is touching two different size circles.
And that'll give you the distance between them.
Right, and the chord would have to be a straight line. Yeah, because a chord can't be a curved line in terms of that. So
it needs a container. You cannot get the circle without a container, and you cannot get the air pressure without a container.
The best answer I got was someone who didn't trigger out was that if AB is curved on an Earth that's curved, it's not curved enough to make it detectable, making it appear straight anyway, or flat anyway. It's flat, but it's curved.
Well, yeah, that would be a factor. That would be a factor that would have to be considered. Yeah, the amount of the tolerance of the amount of error, which is like the same thing with like measuring like spherical excess, for example. Like that's one of the challenges there is being able to get a long enough distance to be able to even have those straight lines that would be meeting at a point that you could see where they're meeting. So yeah, it'd be similar with this, like the size that it would have to be to get a difference in the reading.
And then saying, but that's okay, because if your ball is so large it is practically used as flat, you can't then tell me not flat. You would have to say flat but curved flat, like a new definition, and then support that somehow, which
bendizontal thing.
Yeah, that's what Bev says, bendizontal.
It sounds very funny for me. All the conversation sounds very funny for me, but I like it. It's okay.
Bob, what up, real Bob Dole? What were they getting me on earlier yesterday or something?
Hello.
Oh, the star thing, right? The star thing, yeah.
Yeah, they were substituting their assumptions for data, acting like that data was available inside the picture when it obviously like you weren't talking about those things. And as far as I know, that data wasn't available in the picture. It was them assuming things and then deciding to throw those assumptions in there as if that's valid somehow.
Yeah, you ever see these photos of the star trails, and sometimes they'll disappear? Not always. Sometimes they'll disappear before the ground, before the horizon, before the ground, the water. This usually happens over water, because obviously if you have hills and mountains and stuff, but whatever, it happens over water. So the stars will disappear before they hit the ground, and not even all on the same line. Some of them will just start disappearing above other ones and shit. So whatever, but yeah, my argument was, obviously in this photo, Earth curve's not blocking these stars out because it's happening before the Earth curve even starts, and they were trying to argue with it somehow.
Yeah, they would even admit that the stars were getting blocked out by something other than Earth curve. They would say it's the clouds or whatever, but then it's like they were compelled or something to make sure they impose their model and say, but other stars are being blocked by the Earth. It's like, that's not in the photo. We're not talking about other stars.
I mean, I'm just trying to get these guys to admit that shit can be blocked out by shit other than Earth curve. In that case, Earth curve wasn't blocking the stars out. It was something else.
Yeah.
Obviously, because it was above the Earth curve. You're not going to hold your hand out and have something blocked off that's above your hand.
I don't know if they were scared of that point or what, but they
insisted
on imposing their additional assumptions into it to make sure they would admit it's the clouds, but then they make sure they say, but the other stars are obviously being blocked by the water and the Earth.
They're scared of that, bro. That's dangerous territory, having to say shit near the horizon's getting blocked by shit other than the ground. So you're in dangerous waters there.
Because their horizon has to be physical, and it's not.
Oh, I mean, it's actually physical land, but it's always it's shifting in your point of view. So I mean, you might see it in one spot now and another spot later. So it's not like this static physical thing. It's a move. It's just apparent positions out there. They got all apparent positions until we can get the actual position of something. Which I don't know how to do that other than to like have a straight line going from you to the position. There's no way to verify like the actual position of stuff.
Well, that's where the physical measurements will be able to kind of trump any optical, because the fact that, yeah, optical can be distorted and warped in different ways. It'd be interesting to see the physical measurement along with the optical. Then we could start to see exactly how the optics are, or how the environment, the atmospheric conditions are actually changing, the physicality.
I mean, it's 2021. Do we not have a long enough wall and the ability to just fucking draw a straight line? This doesn't seem crazy. I don't know.
We know a straight line is straight line. There's nothing. Nobody can change that.
Well, that reminds me of like, that's like a force the line. You mean, Jeremy? Like having a way to essentially kind of, yeah, because that's part of the concept of force the line, which is to continue creating that level.
I mean, not with a physical object. I mean, I guess whatever you use to mark the wall with would be physical, but not like an actual structure, just a line on a wall, like a pencil mark or whatever. The paint, crayon, whatever you want to use a crayon. The Globers that need them all, we'll use some crayons, whatever. It doesn't matter. Just make a straight line on a wall and see what, you put some still water under it. Boom. This whole shit will be over with. Like, this seems like something easy to do, man.
So they are saying that if you draw a straight line in a three-dimensional room, then it will change. No, it will not change. The straight line will always be straight line.
The same elevation above the water, yes.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. It's meant to be confusing. It's like how
they're saying it. The Glober. My bad, Craig.
No, go ahead. I was probably going to say the same thing you.
No, the Globers say it's going to be dropping. It's going to be not the same length from the straight line. That's why we need a straight line.
They're saying it will automatically bend, and every position will be straight for you, but there is no straight lines. They are saying that, but how can you say the straight line will end? Nobody can say that, because a straight line is straight line. There is nothing physical or that we know of that can change the reality of it. So they cannot say that. They are saying it's taken from the blue. It's absolutely no sense.
Well, also, Jeremy, it makes me think about being able to do a water level over long distance to be able to create the actual geometric line, essentially, at which those water levels are all creating. Because if water is curving, then that should be a curved line rather than a straight line. So how to set that up, like a water level over a long enough distance where you can then connect the water levels with a line and then detect whether that line is curving at 8 inches per mile squared or whether it's straight and level. Because that should either deviate from the Earth or it should accompany the Earth. Meaning, if it's a straight line on a globe, then of course that's going to deviate. The globe's going to curve down. The straight line is going to keep going straight, like out into outer space kind of idea, essentially. Whereas if the water levels are curving, then that line that you're drawing would actually continue to stay level across, and it would be curving across a curved surface.
Okay, I understand. I will answer you. All you answer inside your head. You know exactly where horizontal is in your head and your eyes and everything. All your senses tells you the answer. Just Take you inside, and you get all the answers. You know exactly what horizontal is. That's balance. Is evil. Is from right to left. Absolutely, from point to point, straight.
I know. Now, how do we prove that?
You don't. You have to prove it. It is just a law of nature.
I know, but so we can never prove that. You think? Because there are people that actually think that this is undoable. This straight line.
If people are stupid or crazy, cannot talk with them, of course. But
What's up?
That's the one thing too. Like
Was
they'll
that-
say,
was-
"Oh, Jeremy, you there?"
Go ahead, Craig. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I thought. Okay. So anyway, like they'll tell you this is apparent, right? The globe is common sense. It's so apparent. It's so easy to understand, but yet it takes these very complex ideas that aren't really doable in reality to prove it. You got to prove it on paper, and then if you try to show your work, they can't even do that part. Just draw it. Let me see a conceptual idea of what you're talking about.
Definitely talk about the model all the time because they don't have it in the reality. They just have it in mathematical model, and they are saying to philosophers, "Oh, you need a model. You need a model." No, we don't need a model. We have the live flat Earth. Yeah, okay, we can do a model of the flat Earth if you want. There is all over the place. That is not the right.
What up, Godric? What up,
Johnny? I have no idea
heard
what
you
you're.
going at it.
I have no
Were
idea
you
what
going
you're
at it?
saying, man.
He's saying that the globe side keeps asking for a model, but they should be able to model flat before any sort of curved model. Like flat would come first. But if it can't even model flat, then they don't have anything to start with because even from their own idea, flat came first, and they built upon that. They don't even have the foundation to start from.
Nothing. They are nothing. It's just.
But you base the foundation. That's why they can start you on the wrong path.
Yeah, they want to rewrite history.
That's right, Craig, and I agree with you. And I want to also say that Globers have poor or incorrect concepts. Like there's a concept with the Globers that if it was flat, there would be no horizon. Have you heard that?
Yeah, but we know
Yeah.
They're just
the
like really
horizon
poor
now part.
concepts. They're just trying to argue like ridiculous ideas.
Yeah, and we
They
have
actually
proved that.
say the horizon would look like with the way they explain the horizon on a flat Earth. Somehow they know how this would look like, but they explain it to be actually how we do see the horizon when we go up high. When we go up high, we see the horizon like they explain how you would see a horizon on flat Earth.
Yeah, that was the first time, but now they understand the perspective better. They understand how perspective works, so they are not talking like that. Maybe the new one is talking like that. But not,
Yeah, so they claim to be experts on the flat Earth, and they got that wrong, and they believe the globe.
They make a lot of
Got
they
that
make
wrong.
a lot of they make a lot of assumptions with the globe. Like I don't know if you guys were listening yesterday. I got Bio to admit that plumb lines might not be parallel on a flat Earth. Therefore, anything you're using to prove your globe with that's based on plumb lines being parallel, we can just toss that right now because that could happen on a flat Earth. So what? Like everything.
Because I heard that, but I don't think I fully was able to because I was somewhat multitasking when you were saying that. So could you describe that one again? Like how could plumb lines not be parallel on a planar Earth?
Okay, you get the you have mass attracting mass. The whole point of this is they always say this shit can't happen on a flat Earth, right? How many times you hear that? This can't happen on a flat Earth. And I led them through the process to where, well, this could happen on a flat Earth. So, all right, if you have mass attracting mass and you have mass in the right spots, you can make it look just like a globe. with the plumb lines not being parallel. Maybe I don't know. The point is,
it starts with begging the question. They are begging the question, and therefore they are posting that it is like they think it is, and therefore they think it has to be in one way. But they have to know what is.
I see what
Yeah.
you're saying, though, Jeremy. Yeah, like if it's a mass attracting mass type of concept, if you had land, even though let's say the water is flat, if you then had land that's coming up out of that, potentially the like the way the mass is arranged, that it would
more
make
dense land underneath or something, or some configuration of the mass with the land underneath. Somehow you end up with plumb lines not being parallel, right? Or there's something. So if you're gonna, you can't base plumb lines not being parallel on the proof for a flat or a globe Earth. Like, I'm not saying that that's what's happening at all. Just for the record, I'm not saying that that's how it is. I'm just saying, don't say this can't happen on flat Earth when we just went through some steps and saw, oh, well, maybe this could happen on flat Earth. So what are we going to do? Keep this, we can't keep the thing you just said about this can't happen on flat Earth because we just went through and saw that it could happen on a flat Earth, possibly.
Yeah, we can prove it. But not everybody can prove it, because you have to know what you're talking about in the first place.
It's broken logic too, because they say can't happen on X, but never present X, or never present what can't happen.
Well, there's just assumptions built into this can't happen thing, right? There's a lot of assumptions on assumptions on assumptions. Sometimes it's like multi-layered.
Jeremy, if you don't know really what you're talking about, hold it to the ground and just talk about what you know of. Just talk about.
It's really a really dumb headspace to be in, because
talk about the surface.
From their perspective, flat Earth is basically like a unicorn, right? It's not real. It doesn't exist. Think of how ridiculous you would think a person is to start trying to argue that you can't have a rainbow tail on a unicorn. It's not possible. If unicorns were real, they'd have rainbow tails. Like, you don't believe this thing exists, but you're going to then tell us whether or not a thing is possible on it?
Team Unicorn, Don.
We've been on it. You know I'm coming in on that.
Don, Team Unicorn.
Yeah, I'm not near.
No, like, you just say something can't. You don't know that a unicorn doesn't exist, right?
Yeah, I'm not
like,
near.
You can never prove that a unicorn doesn't exist.
Man, we unicorns is real than a motherfucker, bro.
Just saying. Like, nobody can present proof to me that a unicorn just don't exist. Not only that, it's possibly feasible. We have animals with horns, and we have like horses. So I mean, like, you can never show me they don't exist. I'm not saying they do, but you know what I mean? So to say something can't happen or this doesn't exist or whatever for shit you haven't verified or validated yet, it's fucking crazy.
Well, that's the key. Yeah, there needs to be validation or verification or repeatability to be able to carry out whatever it may be. Because I do think it's valid to consider that something can't work on a particular model of the Earth, and then to have that be a possible debunking or something to bring up. I mean, I do think that that's accurate as a general concept, meaning that I think we would all agree that, like, for example, the spherical excess type thing. If you take three lines and if you create a triangle, like, three coplanar points that create a plane, 3 points create a plane. So if you have that plane and then you try putting that on the Earth, if it's a globe, you're not going to be able to fit it on the Earth, meaning the middle of the globe is going to bubble up in the center of it. And then you're going to have to get into that whole spherical triangle type thing. Whereas if the Earth is planar in nature, then you could easily have those 3 points that could be coplanar. So there are certain things that will work on one, shape and not the other. But I do agree.
Yeah, but when you start putting I agree with you. But when you start putting models on top of models, like the model of how light's bending, now you're putting that. Now that's another model layer. Remember, I said sometimes it was layers on layers. Like, if you put the model of how light's bending, or what's going on in between us and the stars, and the medium between us and the stars, and how the light rays are, like, there's a whole bunch of shit where it's just like there's a lot of presuppositions.
Yeah, he was not talking about model. He was not talking about model. You're talking about if you make a circle on a circle Earth, it's impossible to make an equal circle on a circle Earth that we are doing with sextant. You triangulate the sun, moon, or the star, and make 90 degrees, make a rectangle. Then you are making a circle of equal altitude.
How do you make the circle? How do you know where to make the circle?
Because if you have the middle point, you have the circle around the middle point.
How do you know how
3D.
far away to make the circle from the middle point?
Yeah, you know that because we know where the star is. We have the almanac. We have the tables.
They say those tables are all based on radiuses and sines and
No,
cosines and shit.
that's a lie. That's a lie. It's just we know how the moves, how it is, and absolutely we take it minute for minute. We know where they are, and they are moving above us. Therefore, we can know. Therefore, it's so important. We take the time.
No, I agree. Johnny,
We
what you're
take the
saying, yeah,
time
with the
in the
suction, I
same
mean,
time
'cause
how we
it
get the
goes back
angle.
to,
We need the time. Therefore, we need the time, and we go to the tables, and therefore we know exactly where we are. Thanks for the tables. If you don't have the tables, it's much more difficult. But you can do it without tables, but you have to be very, very, very much skill and mathematics and everything to do it. But tables give you that, so everybody can do it.
I thought that thing where they say can't work on flat Earth because their model, my conceptual idea of it, is endless, virtually endless. And on their model, anything is possible. That's why I was told growing up, like, look at how vast space is. Whatever you imagine is true. Somewhere in the cosmos, whatever you can think of. So think of the most beautiful dream you can think of and make it happen because someplace there's a version of you who completed your dreams.
What are you talking about?
And then you grow up and you realize nothing changes around here. Day in, day out, nothing new under the sun. The same set of conditions in the 60s and the 70s are the same set of conditions now. And I'm starting to think here, if their model offers endless change, how is it possible nothing changes?
Yes, exactly. Nothing is changing. Thousands of years, nothing has changed. That they are saying that it will change is a fucking lie because it has not changed. There is no change. The polarity is always in the middle because that is this. There's no change.
well, I think it's good to look into observations or measurements that will be able to either validate or invalidate, something about the physical world, about our reality. So I think that's a good thing to do. But I wanted to comment on what Jeremy had said before about, essentially what they're doing in some cases is they're using a particular assumptive model that isn't yet fully validated. I would say mass attracting mass through Cavendish is not validated that it's mass attracting mass, which we could get into that whole thing. But they're then often like they'll use something like that, like a model, and then try applying it to what they think a quote unquote flat Earth would be. And then they're trying to then, kind of fit an assumptive model. That's like what Jeremy was saying too, like the way light works, like some of these different systems that they're using in terms of then trying to apply that to what they think a flat Earth might be. And then they're finding, if they find an inconsistency there, then they claim, oh, it can't work on, but it's like, there's like just multiple kind of breaks in the link of the chain within that logic.
Yeah, they are lost in the model. They are lost in the global model, lost in all explanation of explanation. Do you know the sun was very, very close, and there was very, very far, and there was very, very far, and in the end it was 93 million miles away. Everything has changed. They are changing everything. They say the North Star was there, and they said, "Oh no," because somebody said, "No, it cannot fit because there's a problem." Yeah, then they move it, make the North Star bigger, and more far away to fit the mathematics. It's hilarious. It's so fucking shit.
Well, yeah, I think my viewpoint is that they've reverse engineered the heliocentric model from the actual what the Earth actually is. So yeah, like you said, they've had to change a lot of the orbital cycles and the distance to the sun, and a lot of those factors to fit the observations at least somewhat better than it had fit before. Because when you're kind of doing an ad hoc model, you have to keep adjusting things. I was going to say there was, in terms of like things that could or can't happen on a different Earth surface. I was going to mention this one. It's been on my mind the last couple of minutes, which is, you know how when you're on the beach and you're looking at the sunset, there's a reflection of the light that comes all the way from the sun all the way to your feet on the water. It's like a straight line. I'll actually post an image that shows like a small scale of it. But if the water is planar and level, then it would completely make sense, because as the sun is moving away, the angle is getting lower and lower as it's getting away from you, and due to perspective, it'd be setting. So then that light would be reflecting off of the surface of the water, so you would get that straight line, like a connected line all the way from the sun to your feet of reflection. And of course, if it's a curved surface, you wouldn't be able to get that straight line of reflection, because you need a planar surface for that to happen. If it was curved, then at some point when the sun's setting, it would only be hitting the from the sun to the hump of water, and then it would break that line. You wouldn't be able to have that full line. And that's one of those things that I've never heard of a good explanation of how it could work on a globe. I think the best that I've heard, it's not even really the best, it's really the only one, which is that like the waves in the water, there's sort of like, there's like the way that the water's kind of sparkling, that it's sort of like is able to kind of like when you have a surface that's a little bit has like undulations in it, and then if you have light, you're going to get some of that light is going to be like kind of refracting through the different, like the waves. It's not even a full explanation, but I've heard them try to explain that. But that's, oh yeah, Crit just posted it.
Excuse me.
That
Light goes always in straight lines. The material around the light is bending and fracturing.
something's bending though, right? Because when we look at an oil rig, when we look at stuff in the distance, sometimes it's in one spot, sometimes it's in another spot. So it's got to be something's happening to where, it can't be two straight lines at the same point if nothing's actually moving.
But light goes always in straight lines. But
No, Johnny.
Well, that's the question, though, Jeremy. Is the light bending, or is the medium that you're looking through just warping your vision of
exactly
light?
the medium that's around is bending and warping? Yes,
that's fine if you want to explain it like that. Yeah, whatever's happening though, we're not seeing in straight lines.
But no, yes, it's not look like that. But do you know? Listen to me.
Right? Would you agree though? We're not seeing in straight lines.
You have to understand that light is invisible. You cannot see light.
Johnny, would you agree we're not seeing in straight lines?
You have to listen to me. I'm very nice now. You really have to listen to me.
I hear you, but I just have a simple question. Do you think we're seeing in straight lines?
The human being has more to it than the physicality of the human being is not to.
Your lens is curved, I think.
You cannot use human being to take like the same thing, because we have something more.
I have no idea what you just said, Johnny.
You can know what's behind you if you just use your senses. But so we cannot take living things and the physical things in the same matter.
Well, in terms of looking at a straight line, like Jeremy, if you're looking at something, down a hallway or something, and then if you have like a heat source, like a flame or something that would warp, like the way when you look through a flame, the heat, it causes that warping. is that actually changing the straightness of your eyes, you know, in terms of the straight line, you know, that you're looking out? Or is it just changing the medium and the environment that causes that warping?
It could just be shifting the whole thing. There could be lots of stuff happening. The point is, if we were seeing in straight lines, we wouldn't have apparent positions. We'd have actual positions on shit, and we know that's not the case because shit apparently moves that shouldn't move. Static objects are apparently moving, so you can't have 2 points and then draw 2 different straight lines to them and say I'm always seeing in a straight line, because that doesn't like relate. I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
My fellow guys, I have to say, the light is invisible. You cannot see the light. You can only see the light going through the material.
I don't know. We're just talking about seeing like stuff in the distance, like objects and shit.
You cannot see the light. Light is invisible.
I know. We're just talking about seeing like objects in the distance, like a building or a lighthouse or something.
There's only the material the light is hitting that have a reaction that give you.
The point is, Johnny, we're not seeing in straight lines though, because we would have actual positions and not apparent positions.
Light goes always straight lines. Absolutely, you cannot break it. It's absolutely so.
So you're saying we see in straight lines?
Yes, yes.
Well, then why does the oil rig? If I don't move, if I'm standing on a beach, right, and I don't move, sometimes I can see the oil rig, sometimes I can't. The oil rig's not moving, and I'm not moving.
There's always but behind.
It doesn't sound like we see in a straight line though, because how could there be 2 straight lines, different straight lines from 2 static points?
Thanks for all the material of the atmosphere and everything what we're living in give us
because it's not straight. Makes you see not straight.
Gives us the reality we know of.
Which is the reality is we don't see in straight lines, right?
Like the light is breaking through all directions.
Well, disturbance, right? Like turbulence.
Absolutely straight, but it can looks like because of perspective, bending because of many factors.
Anyways, the point is we're not seeing in straight lines, because if we did, we'd have actual positions, not apparent positions. I don't even know what we were talking about before this or how we got here. So
yeah, we see not in straight lines because we have all the senses and understanding of what's around.
Johnny, we have 2 points that don't move, right?
We have 5 senses.
Say we got a guy on a beach. We got a guy on a beach in an oil rig out 6 miles away or whatever, 9 miles away. One day we can see just the top of it is horizontal from us, and the next day we can't see it at all, and the day after that we can see the bottom of the oil rig's horizontal with us. You think that's seen in a straight line? Come on, bro.
It's a malformed question. Absolutely, because
it's not a malformed question.
Because you have a thought, you have quotations that has not that is changing all the time. We have a different temperature, we have that and so on and everything. So, what is the real question then?
I don't know, Johnny. What's the real question?
Yeah. So you have to take in all the factors to understand what's happening. If you don't do that, then you're out of nothing. You have to do it. You have to understand what it's about.
Yeah, we're taking in the factors. We know that the oil rigs we get. I can't go through with you again. I don't know. We're obviously not seeing in straight lines. That's all. It's obvious.
Light goes always in straight lines. That is behavioral.
They actually recently timed light traveling at a different speed. Now this is highly debated because this fucks up this whole speed of light being. Hold on, Johnny. Hold on.
You can bend light with power, of course you can. But the natural behavioral light is always straight.
Johnny, I was in the middle of a sentence, bro. Relax.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay. So they actually recently just claimed to have timed light traveling through a vacuum at different speeds, right? Like they shot some photons through a straight vacuum. It traveled at one speed, and they shot it through a crystal or some shit. But they didn't start timing it until the point after the crystal, but it gave it some swirly pattern or something, so it made it take longer to get from point A to point B, which would be slower in my mind. So for some reason the Globers don't want to claim that is slower, taking longer to go from point A to point B. I don't know why, but yeah, that was some crazy stuff. There's a lot of things. Light's very mysterious. You got the double slit. That's a fucking brain teaser right there.
Your lens, like the optical physics of your eye, is curved.
Yeah, but that ain't. So what?
I think that plays a part in it too.
Of us not seeing actual positions?
Yeah.
I don't think so, because our eyes ain't changing. Our eyes ain't changing from day to day to where, I mean, we can use our theodolites and shit or auto levels or whatever to do this. I mean, I know you're not supposed to, but, or I guess those lenses will be. You could get a rectilinear lens and it would still be in a different spot.
It like funhouse effects where you've got people appearing to be like 10 feet tall or.
Yeah, but from day to day, your eyeball's not changing to where one day you would see the oil rig and one day you wouldn't. Like your eyeball ain't changing over the course of 3 days or whatever.
No,
your lens.
In between. All the stuff, the atmosphere in between.
Yeah, that's what's causing the not actual positions in my mind.
Yeah.
The not seeing in a straight line.
In that showcase, but I'm saying in other showcases, the physics or construct of the eye can play a part in it.
I mean, I could see straight lines though. With my eyeball, if there's a straight line in front of me, I can see. I might not be able to detect if it was a millimeter off straight or in one point or something or whatever, or slightly curving, but
right.
You can see it.
If you look and use your eyes, eye is always looking straight.
Okay, what about when I don't see the oil rig the next day, or the next day I do see it, or the next day it looks like it's like 30 feet lower or something? That doesn't sound like straight lines to me, Johnny?
Yeah, you change your head and try to change the view or something.
No, just same camera, same view.
I'm talking about your
spot.
eyes, your human eyes.
Yeah, same spot. I'm not even moving. You can just stand there and the shit will just go up and down.
Yeah, but you're always looking straight.
That's
what
Travis talks about, the Rayleigh criterion. At some point, like 2 light sources can appear to be one light source. If you in the military, there's a thing called blackout drive, where
how many stars? Hold on, Craig. How many stars is Polaris? A lot of people are walking around thinking that's one. What?
Yeah. They say they'll tell you it's 3, but it looks like 2, but that looks like 1.
I'm saying they claim that it's 3 stars, right? Polaris is actually
they'll
3
say
stars.
It's 3 that looks like 2, but it's really 1.
Yeah, that was crazy when I heard that. And it's red shifting and light. Anyways, what were you gonna say? Sorry, I don't want to.
Yeah, so military or army vehicles mostly, they have a thing called blackout drive, and in the back I can post a picture later when I get a chance. But the light in the back, at a certain distance, you want to be about 25 to 50 meters away. It'll look like 2 lights, and if you're too close, though, there's a little divide between the lights. It'll look like 4 lights, and if you're too far away, it'll look like just 1 light. And that'll give you an idea of the spacing you are between a lead vehicle in front of you, so you can maintain a completely blackout convoy. And the only thing you have to look at is how many lights you see in front of you. And it's built on that sort of Rayleigh criterion, like how the human eye works. That is only possible because of the type of eye that we have.
It's cool to think of the eye as like its own auto level. It's like a gyroscope, and it's just interesting to see it that way.
That's too. It has that fluid thing in the back that the eye knows how to level itself depending on how you move your head. It'll still stay focused on what you're looking at because there's like a little like water like thing. I'm like the correct medical term for it. Like there's like a nerve connection that detects where the fluid is, and if that it'll like shift itself automatically to keep your eye on the prize type effect.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting to think like the way that the ear, the eye, the brain, how that all works to find its level. Because there's so many subtleties to like the human body, like as we move, and especially like in athletics, and it's kind of amazing the physics involved in all of that. Because yeah, I mean, just like linking to like, do we see in straight lines? I mean, I think we do. I think that, however, I just think that the environment, the atmosphere can alter what we see depending on the conditions that cause variation in the medium that might cause fluctuation. But I don't think that it allows you to see around a corner. I mean, the globe earthers are going to say that the curvature of the earth is there, and even though we see too far, they're going to claim that there's some kind of refraction happening where it's bending and warping all of that, material, all of that physical land or whatever it may be, to kind of display it up on the horizon as if it's level. So I don't think that it's doing that. Like, it's not able to tunnel itself around entire curvatures in order to display that way. But I do think that light there can be distortion and interference between your viewpoint and whatever you're viewing. It's like the geometry, the physicality is there. It's just that the medium can alter how the physicality is viewed depending on the conditions.
See, here's the blackout drive I was talking about. So if you're over 55 meters, you'll see the one light, and you have to increase your speed to catch up, because any further than that light will disappear, and you'll get lost. You won't know. It'd be a hard time, unless you've got some way of maintaining the same course, and hopefully you catch up. And then this is 18 to 55 meters. That's what you want to see. You want to see those two lights like a T shape. And then if you're less than 18 meters, then that's a problem because you're inside the kill zone for like your artillery or mortar fire. So then you want to back up because then you're too close.
And that's all done visually?
Yeah, it's through basically a concept that Travis talks about all the time called the Rayleigh criterion. And the driver who's ready to do this, they'll keep their eyes closed to really adjust to the night. So they're only basically using starlight to really as their light source.
Does anyone else have any other any topics or any particular topics they wanted to bring up or discuss? Got about a half hour more of the show here.
Well, how about for tomorrow with Christmas Eve and Christmas Day?
Oh, you mean whether there'll be a show?
Yeah.
That's a good question. Definitely not on Christmas Day. Yeah, in terms of tomorrow is Christmas Eve. Of course, think about tomorrow. I mean, the way that the time zones work, it's meaning it's going to be Christmas Day for some people, even if it's the 24th for others.
Oh yeah, good point. So yeah, with time zones, people will be done, or I mean, I'll be around either way.
Well, I think one of the things that I was saying that we could do during the show would be to like people's journey to, in general, like whether most of us, of course, were taught the globe Earth, and then researching and looking into this further, some folks will stay with the globe Earth and think the globe becomes stronger in their mind in terms of evidence. other people that, you know, a planar, stationary, flat Earth, you know, is where they have come to. So I think it'd be cool just to hear people's journey to that. So yeah, maybe for the last section of the show here, you know, so is there anyone? I could share mine, of course, but is there anyone who would like to, yeah, just share their journey to whatever their current, I suppose, wherever their cosmology started, the journey in between, and then where they're at today.
I can't right now.
Yeah, I'd be curious for you
I
and
mean,
Jeremy. I don't think I ever heard the story for you guys.
mine's not really that exciting. I was a conspiracy theorist for years. I mean, I've known the moon landings were fake for decades now, and so it was still a struggle to jump into flat Earth though, because like, you know, that's at the foundation. The Earth is like the foundation of the whole model of where you live inside your head. So like to take that away from somebody is really, that's really hard to give up the thing you've believed in for your whole life. You know, they had us all sitting on a globe. I believed it. We're on a globe, and that was like the foundation of where you were, where your existence happened. You know,
So what was the process then of that foundation changing in your mind or being brought into question?
just all the everything, a culmination of everything. You know, we got the fake Apollo missions, which is where they got the first picture of Earth. So there's a connection right there to this whole globe conspiracy. I didn't think evolution was a real thing. You know, the way they say it is, and I think I thought that out. I think it all like ties in with everything. You know, then we had just all the fake space stuff was a lot of it, and then I just know how corrupt and how these these elite crazy people are that are making all the power moves on Earth. You know, the ones with the trillions and zillions of dollars. These people are crazy. If you know anything about what happened with government and religion, used to be at war with each other to gain control of the people, because the church used to have control of the people. So the government obviously wanted that. How you're not going to do it all?
I don't know if you cut out at the end there or whether you just muted. Kind of sound like it cut
Yeah,
out.
I can't right now.
Yeah, it sounds like you're multitasking. But yeah, definitely lots of components kind of coming together, it sounds like. But
That's the best one. It's a component piece. You know, it wasn't just like where the globalists like to say, hey, what's the one thing that made you a flat earther, so they can go after that. It's like, dude, it's a bigger story than that. People just don't change their full cosmology and worldview because of a YouTube video or a meme. I mean, get real. I mean, what type of world do you live in that you think that, you know, like they actually think misinformation is that powerful? That there's just one sentence that all it took.
I agree. Yeah. Well, like what would it take, for example, like if we wanted to come up with some theory that water doesn't exist, could we make YouTube videos that water doesn't exist? And could we somehow, I'm not saying I'm just saying, could that happen? Could anyone do that? You know, actually create Discord servers, and then you'd have a bunch of people that are anti-water existers and then pro-water existers. Like, could you actually create a whole thing involved around that just from some one YouTube video? I would say no. That's not. It wouldn't resonate with enough people to go much of anywhere.
Well, there's groups of people that don't think dinosaurs exist or nuclear energy. Right? There's some silly stuff like that.
No, I think you misunderstood. They talk about nuclear weapons, not nuclear energy. The people talk about nuclear energy working
that's just as silly, if not sillier, right?
Stupid.
I mean, people that lived in Las Vegas would see the flashes all throughout the 50s, right when they were testing the shit out of them.
And you've talked to
Shit
them,
blows up.
and they verified this flash was atomic. How?
I mean, it's just
You could be right. I'm just wondering what your epistemology is. If it's just flash of light in the sky, therefore
well, the
nuclear bomb.
epistemology is the fact that we have nuclear energy throughout the world, right?
Okay, now
And we understand the physics behind it, so it's not hard to see how a nuclear bomb would be created, right? Then we have the history of Japan, right?
So
And we got millions of people that were affected by that, right? And then we have nuclear testing, right? We have, the Navy that tested in the Pacific, right? And then we've got all the people that witnessed the tests in the Nevada test sites, right?
It's too much in our face. We cannot be stupid. We have to see what we have in our face, in front of our face. There is a lot of lies, and it has got over their price. And we have to realize what's about. What is about. It's about you have to go inside
If
and
nuclear bombs
understand
didn't
yourself.
exist, then what did we
I mean,
talk
Understand
about?
yourself so you can understand what's
Jesus,
happening
Johnny.
around you.
So, Jake, do you feel like you've seen enough information with nuclear weapons and atomic technology for yourself to say definitively that it does
But
exist?
I would say, not only are there entire fields of study dedicated to this, not only are there, people that have, like people in this community that have served on nuclear powered ships, right? That actually went to nuclear school to learn how to operate these reactors. Not only do we have power stations throughout the world that are work on this mechanism, right? Including some horrible disasters that resulted from it. Then we have the fallout that is detectable, especially on the Pacific coast of the United States, right? We've got like fallout that's basically in every single soil sample. There's radioactive fallout that always comes out in any kind of a soil test where it'll say, nuclear, radioactive particles detected from atomic testing in the 1960s, right? 50s. So you have there's just such a mountain of evidence that as far as it goes, you at that point you just have to be there's really, it's one of those things where if you don't believe in it, then there's not a lot of things that are worthwhile for you to believe in, because your standard of evidence is so high that you would go through life not believing in almost anything, because most things don't even have that level of a standard of evidence, right?
I hear where you're coming from, yeah, but isn't there a difference though between like nuclear material? Like you could create potentially a bomb that has nuclear material in it that then would explode and spray that material everywhere, versus the actual concept of like an atomic weapon, that the concept of splitting the atom. Like, aren't those two different things?
Oh no, all nuclear energy involves splitting atoms.
Well, it causes
It's just at the rate at which you're splitting them, right? Whether you're creating
turbine.
Yeah, whether you're creating a runaway cascade reaction versus
you
a
can have a
controlled
toxic
reaction.
material. You can have a toxic material is one thing, but claiming you're going to split an atom and blow up a city is a completely different thing.
Yeah, we can't even see an atom, right? I mean, when was the most recent picture we have of even seeing an plain atom? Which I don't even believe that's that. But the most recent picture we have is what?
But it's easy to observe the effects. It's easy to observe the effects of atomic particles, right?
They
I don't know how they split it.
Hydrogen atom.
If we can't
They imaged a hydrogen atom. They imaged a hydrogen atom before.
I mean, you just take some film and and then you put a shape on the film and then expose it to any radioactive element, even something in a smoke detector, and you'll see the image on the film of particles that went through and changed the film. I mean, actually, the first detections of nuclear fallout was by the Kodak company, because photographers, and radiographers around the world or around the United States were seeing these specks on their film, and they're like, "What the hell is this?"
Mic check. What's going on, everyone?
You're conflating a couple things, though. You're conflating seeing a thing happen with believing the story you're told about why it happens.
We got you, Matrix.
Well, I mean, there's tens of thousands of service workers that have seen and testified to the nuclear bombings, right? So the nuclear testing, I mean, either in the Pacific by the Navy or by the or people that were in and around the Nevada test sites, right?
Yeah.
So
What did they say? What did they say that they saw?
So is it possible that they were witness to some sort of explosion, but not necessarily the one that you specifically think?
Again, that you're conflating seeing a thing happen with believing the story you're told about why it's happening. They could have easily seen huge explosions. I don't know if anyone's arguing that huge explosions don't exist. That's fine. What the story you're being told about why the explosion took place or how it was created might not be true. That doesn't mean that the explosion isn't real.
Okay, so well, after these explosions, then equipment that can detect the radiation. Why is it that there's an increase after that in the vicinity of this area, right? Why is there fallout after these things? And do we have any other mechanism to create explosions of that size and clouds of that size? We don't.
You don't know that. You don't know that. You don't know what we have or don't have to make big explosions. It's not like
the only. Right, but if you look at the totality of the evidence, it's the only reasonable conclusion. Of course, you don't have. What would be a more reasonable conclusion?
Radiation.
Okay, what's a more reasonable conclusion in the totality of the evidence? The fact that we've got like thousands of students that learn about nuclear energy, that have careers in the nuclear industry. The fact that there are power plants dispersed all around the world in all the major countries that depend on this system for energy, and that thousands of people work at every single plant. And then the fact that not only do we have the eyewitness testimony of the people that were involved in the testing, as well as the victims in Japan. I mean, the totality of the evidence. What better explanation do you have?
No, you're conflating the nuclear reactors with nuclear bombs again. We already established it. Those aren't necessarily the same thing. I don't know if anyone's arguing that nuclear things in general don't exist. I don't know if anyone's making that argument. All we're talking about is the bombs that they claim they have might not be nuclear bombs. They might just be big bombs.
Yeah, but no, there's no bombs. I mean, there's no bombs that can make an explosion that big, right?
Because you're the arbiter of bombs and you know everything about every kind of explosion, or what?
Well, we know what conventional weapons are.
You do.
We've got single.
We don't.
Neither
I nor you
that have more power than all the bombs dropped in World War II combined.
Yeah, that's a story you've been told. I know. You've been told a story, and you can believe it if you want to. That's not the same as proof.
So what's a more reasonable thing to believe then? What's the more reasonable thing to believe? That it's some kind that there's no such technology?
Oh, I can answer that. Neither thing. None of it. You don't just go and believe things because it's claimed and you don't have a better story to put there instead. Just stop believing things you can't verify. It's that simple.
So Jake, on a plane, you've never heard about that guy that goes around eating like dirt. Dirt that supposedly.
I don't want to get.
It's about nuclear. It's about the nuclear.
Hold on, guys. That's not the debate. The debate is the fucking fallout bullshit. We know they got big ass bombs and all that. We know that when you enrich uranium, you get. Yeah.
Something's going on with your mic, Brian.
Don't believe that.
But the debate is, guys, we don't think there's like 100 years of fucking fallout, dude. We know they got bombs. We know that when you enrich uranium with the you get the flash, dude. It's fucking intense. But the argument is the fucking bullshit nuclear fallout where the radiation kills you for like 5 years or fucking 1,000 years afterwards. It's contaminated. They never left Hiroshima. They had the railway up and running the next week, and Chernobyl is fucking like one of the most natural habitats on the planet because it was away from humans and shit. So the argument is, we know they got big ass bombs, but they don't have all the nuclear fallout and fucking you need hazmat suits and all that shit. He sat there and ate the fucking right there on stage, the Galen Windsor guy that Silent was bringing up.
That's the one that I was talking. No, it was me. It was Matrix. That's the one that I was talking about. The guy that goes around eating the nuclear, supposedly dirt and shit, and he goes around eating and nothing has ever happened to him. from eating it. So that completely debunks what you're talking about.
I'll post a link. I'll post a link for anybody who hadn't seen it. But he was one of the bigwigs in the nuclear thing, in the nuclear power plants. He was helped open 10 Mile Island and other nuclear plants. He was one of the
He's gone.
directors, one of the
It looks
first.
like he left.
I think
Yeah,
just real quick, Mad Philosopher. I think did you want to say something? Because I think you were saying something, and then there was a lot of people talking at the same time.
Yeah, whoever that was that said, "What's more reasonable, this or that?" Like, no matter what the argument is or what the debate is, it has nothing to do with what's reasonable or what's not. It's what's truthful and what has evidence and what clearly doesn't.
Yeah, the problem is that they've confiscated, they hijacked reason and logic to make the people think that anything that they say and present some sort of evidence for is reasonable and logical simply because they've presented it.
And it's a false constraint whenever they do that. What's more reasonable, this thing that I've presented, or there's a huge conspiracy about nuclear bombs? It's a false constraint. You don't have to believe either thing. I don't believe there's nuclear bombs, and I don't have any way to show that there's some sort of huge conspiracy about nuclear bombs. So I don't believe either thing. What I do believe is things that I can verify myself. That's what I do believe. Having a negative position is fine. You can just not believe things, and that's okay. And that's what I was telling him. Just stop believing things you can't verify. Don't pick either or. Neither of them can be backed up with something, so just don't believe either.
I seriously don't like when the logic and reason thing comes in play, because logic and reason, if you don't have all of the truth, you will not be able to get to some sort of logical and reasonable conclusion.
The thing too with Jake is you never know when he's LARPing just for shits and giggles, or if he's actually trying to present something logical, like an actual conversation. Which is why I think he left. I think he left because he's like, "Oh, this is going to a serious topic. I'm gonna go play."
Well, people started over talking and shit, but I mean, yeah,
Sorry,
he's a Glover, so he
man.
normally goes with all the mainstream stuff, you know. But
I had to cut in though, Jeremy, because it sounds stupid when we were saying there's no nuclear bombs. Like, look, we know the military's got bombs, but the whole scare thing was, you know, if you get killed in the blast, bam, you're dead, or either you're not. If you survive the fucking blast, you're fine. That's how it's always been. And now all of a sudden they got this thing where it's gonna fucking give you a slow death, where you're fucking, you know, your hair falls out, your fingernails fall out, and it's like.
Couldn't you be at such a point? Couldn't you be at such a certain point from a nuclear blast that it you know, you end up getting like radiation sickness or from it dying like that? Or what?
Sure, it's gonna come with burn. You're gonna be burnt if you're in that area, in my opinion. Okay, what Galen Windsor said, he sat there and ate the fucking plutonium right there. He said that if what you call it, the FBI was there, they'd flag off a square mile, or like 1 or 2 square miles from the amount he just fucking ate, or uranium or plutonium. I forgot which one it is, but he brought it around with him and ate a fucking, you know, a little sprinkle full, just to show everybody that. And he showed the Geiger counter. He's showing everybody that the radiation shit is bullshit. He said they swam in the fucking pools, the cooling pools and all that. So that's the thing that scared everybody, was thinking about the radiation, you know, the invisible fucking enemy, right? So when we were younger, you know, we weren't thinking, you know, we weren't that scared of the blast. Bombs have been around forever, you know, but it was that blind, you know, that invisible enemy, man, that radiation. And that's what he said is a fucking hoax, man. But so sorry I had to interrupt, but you know, people saying they don't have bombs, you know, call them what you want. They got some badass bombs. I could make a fucking, well, I don't want to go there, but you know,
all you have to do is look up the largest non-nuclear bombs in the world, or in existence, or history, or whatever, and the first one comes up is the Russian father of all bombs. And it's just huge bombs that have what, like megatons or kilotons or whatever. I don't know what the largest measurement is.
Look up and come back when you're ready. Give a presentation. You can open a ticket and be like, "Hey, you want to give a presentation about bombs?" And then you can look it up and put something together and present it.
But consider the end of that line of scare tactics, basically, or fear mongering. They get everyone to be scared of nuclear. Well, nuclear bombs, nuclear fallout, cancer, make everyone scared of nuclear. And now look what you can deprive the world of, because they're asking you to deprive them of it. Don't put that nuclear power generator in my town so it can blow up and kill me and all my kids. Don't do it. Don't give us all this free, clean energy. Don't put that here. They're going to ask people to not put the nuclear energy in their town because they don't want to end up having a nuclear bomb explode in their town because they're so scared. If everyone understood that the nuclear energy wasn't necessarily even remotely close to as dangerous as they claimed it was, or radioactive as they claimed it was, wouldn't we just have a nuclear generator in just about every town in America by now?
In your house.
We should, man.
In your house.
We should.
You have one in your house and in your car. But listen, there used to be a serial killer. His name was John Wayne Gacy, I think. He was a clown killer or something. And he used to trick his victims. He would do a magic trick with these handcuffs. And then he would trick the victims into wanting the handcuffs on them. That's what they do to us. They trick us into wanting the handcuffs put on us. They do it with all kinds of stuff.
Right? But they have
they're doing it with
small
guns
generators in Antarctica and the Arctic and the Antarctic. They have fucking nuclear generators. That's how they get their power. And they don't mention that very often because they want you scooping up your own shit in Antarctica. But they have fucking nuclear generators, mini nuclear generators to get their fucking power.
Well, the thing with the atomic weapons as well, just nuclear bombs and all that, is that that's such a huge fear propaganda that they instilled. There was talk about a psyop. There was so much of that involved. That there's one country that can just push a button, and it's in all of the amount that they've sort of memed on that. That this guy's going to push a button. Of course, there's the whole weapons of mass destruction type of concept. So that has been used to control people through fear, I would say, in a massive way.
You guys, I learned a lot about nuclear power plants from watching The Simpsons. So it's real, man. The Simpsons will have no reason to lie. It's dangerous as hell.
That's really good, guys. Rick. Like, who's
I ain't gonna act like radiation can't kill you, man. But it ain't like you get like that movie, with freaking Johnny Depp, Transhuman or Transcendent. But so it's like you get a dose of radiation and bam, you're dead. There's nothing you can do. That's bullshit, man. You stay around that shit, and something that's hurting you or harming you, then you could die. But you get the fuck away from it, and then your body will start healing. It ain't like bam, you get a fucking you get a little dose. It's a lethal dose. You got 3 days to live. That's fucking horse shit, dude. That's the shit they scare us with right there. Is the radiation. And what they've done as a consequence is they fucking made it where they tax so much for safety reasons to get rid of the waste. They make them bury it. They make them like concrete it in and then bury it and all this shit. And this is from Galen Windsor's point. He said that it's valuable. You could use it to for as a sort of power itself for heating up things, what you call it. He said we could make money off the fall, off whatever it is, the waste. He said it's valuable. There's things you could do with it, but what they did, they taxed the holy living shit out of disposing of it, out of something that could be making money. So now they made it where the nuclear power is almost just as much as the freaking fossil fuels, and then they got people scared. It's the oil companies. It's the fucking oil companies that fucking did all that shit, because nuclear energy, like Bob said, is fucking dirt cheap. Once you get this thing up and running, it's almost self-sufficient. It's almost as free as energy as we've heard of in mainstream anyway. So big oil had to put it into that. That it's no fucking secret.
Yeah, it's basically hydroelectric. You heat up water and spin a turbine. That's all it is. It's using material that reacts.
I actually have a great idea for a near perpetual motion machine using magnets. If there's any engineers or somebody that has magnets laying around, hit me up.
Got about 50 magnets, man. I'm an engineer.
I already debunked you with the magnets, bro. I remember that night. But yo, if you ever want to try to build this thing will work, dude. I'm telling you right now.
I'm interested. I got so much other shit going on right now, but yeah, I'm always interested, man. But I don't look at it like a debunking thing, man. I don't want to look at it like I'm going in as the enemy or as a contrasting point of view. I just like to test shit, you know.
No, I know. I'm just fucking with you, bro. I know.
We talk about using magnets to create like a perpetual motion machine.
Somewhat perpetual. I mean, eventually the magnets might run out, or you'll have to stop it because there'll be like some moving parts or something, wheels maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, the magnets would essentially push something uphill. They already do it right now. You can move there's like 2 or 3 videos on YouTube. They're V-gate magnet tracks. V-gate magnet tracks, and they can push something uphill. At an incline, not a very steep incline, but you can push something uphill. Now, I've only seen him do it for 3 or 4, maybe 5 V-gates. But if you could keep that going, I don't see why it would stop. You can even add more V-gates on the top. Like they usually only do the V-gates on the bottom, but you could do them on the top if you wanted to and offset them from the other Vs. But yeah, I mean, I think you get something going at an incline up here, and if you get it higher than you need for it to drop to get pushed back into the track, on another ramp that goes up, you should have a.
Bro, that's a good idea, man. You're talking about the V-gates. Everybody's thinking about it in 2 dimensions and trying to get something to roll through the stick point, but we could have them on the sides, on the top, and all that. That's a fucking great idea. Just throwing that out there. That fills my head with fucking ideas, man.
Jeremy's the idea, man.
Yeah, if you ever want to hit me, if you ever want to do something, man, you got a few magnets, hit me up.
I got a pretty good stack of them, man, but they're just the ring magnets of various sizes.
No, I seen your magnets. Your shit ain't gonna work, bro. You gotta get some good magnets, bro.
Have you guys ever been in a magnetic mountain?
About it too. I'm gonna order some good magnets, man. I want some, man.
Jeremy, have you ever been in a magnetic mountain?
Nope.
Well, I have. The Dominican Republic. There was this mountain that if you put the car in neutral, and this is an incline. This is going up. If you put the car in neutral, the car will roll up the mountain.
Yeah,
I seen that, dude. I seen that. It was Nathan Thompson, and they said that it was just an optical illusion. He brought a bubble level. It might have been Nathan Thompson or Nathan Reynolds a long time ago when I first heard about this subject, and he brought a bubble level to show that it wasn't a fucking optical illusion. It was a slope, and sure enough, the fucking car fucking was creeping, but it was damn sure going up fucking hill. That's fucking crazy, dude.
I don't even understand that. How would they call it an optical illusion when you're in a mountain, regardless of whatever? There's a bottom part and there's a top part, and if you're traveling through the mountain, you obviously have to go up. So how can they even possibly say it's I mean, I don't understand the rationale in these people.
Yeah, I have heard about those though. They're like sort of like electromagnetic anomaly zones on the Earth. I know that, like, I've heard Bob from Glowbusters talking about it. So what is like the explanation? I mean, is it unexplained in terms of the mainstream physics part of it, or like what is the explanation?
That's just it. That's why they tell you it's an optical illusion, because the physics don't explain it, right?
Yeah, well, you're talking about that house that's like sideways and people like walk on the walls and lean and stuff, and the billiard balls go up. Well, that's a specific spot. I'm talking about the actual magnetic mountain, like a mountain where you're going on an incline the whole time. So there is no optical illusion. You have to go from the floor to the top of the mountain. Where was the visual effect there?
Yeah, so it's just considered like an anomaly zone. Yeah, go ahead, Bob.
I was just gonna say, no. See, you were on the horizon, and what happened was the horizon rose up above the geometric Earth, and so you were actually rolling down to the top of the mountain matrix. That's what happened.
That sounds just as logical as the globe Earth.
I was just making a joke, Gio. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just. Yeah, it seems like it's an anomalous So Matrix, you were saying when you were there that you were like anyone could. Did you have to be in one of their cars to do it, or could you do it in your own car?
No.
Yeah, you're on any car.
Everybody in their own car. It's a very known thing. They, when we was going on the trip, they was, oh, we're gonna go to this mountain, and they, sure enough, when they went there, they put the car neutral. There was a whole bunch of people in the car, and that bitch rolled up. No optical illusion, because I felt the tilt of the mountain going up.
I ain't seen it in real life, but I seen the motherfucker get out his car and fucking put a bubble level down on the ground. And it wasn't a big giant slope. Like don't in your head, what I seen, don't envision like going up a steep mountain, but it was for sure a fucking incline. For sure, like he's saying. And sure enough, you creeped up that bitch. It was the weirdest shit ever. It's like that perspective point. I need to find that video and post it for anybody who hadn't seen it, but there's a little like a column or a little alley of vision down this hill going out over water to this little house, or it's a big ass house on the water, and it looks huge when you're at the top of the hill, and as you go down it, you're looking to this tunnel, like you have trees up above the road going across, so it's like kind of like a tunnel, and you're looking at this big ass building out on an island, but then the closer you get to the bottom of the hill, the further and further away it gets, and when you get all the way down to the bottom, it's a fucking tiny little building.
Yeah,
it's
the
so far away,
power
man.
plant or something like that.
That's crazy,
Yeah,
man.
it shrinks as you get closer to it. Yeah, I've seen that video before.
I'm not sure. I don't think it happens every day, but I mean, some days it's worse, you know. But I mean, that to me is proof of atmospheric magnification, which has a lot of consequences and things with it, man. But I ain't trying to change the subject. I'm just throwing that out there.
You mean the atmosphere? You don't think in that case it is the actual, like, the mountain that has like the magnetic properties?
Oh yeah. No, I was talking about the perspective part. I was talking about the optics. I mean, it's got to be something physical, magnetic. You know, there's magnets in nature. I believe they come from, you know. I mean, well, how do they make magnets now? They take the certain type of nickel, type of ferrous shit, and they zap it with a ton of fucking amps, a whole lot of current, man. It's like, I'm not sure how much, but it's an absurd amount. And I think with some of them they do it like right as it's cooling down. Like I think they melt it, and right when it's cooling down, they put current through it. I guess when it's coming off its Curie point. But I'm not 100% sure exactly how that works, but I know it. So just think about it. So if it takes a lot of current, then, you know, why wouldn't lightning have the same effect? So, and once you have a point, say if you have a mountain with deposits, with iron, ferrous metal deposits, and lightning started striking, making, you know, kind of magnetizing the iron, then why wouldn't it kind of snowball from there? You know, it seems like it would kind of attract more lightning. If you think about it, it would snowball, and you wind up with a big ass iron deposit that's magnetized, man. That's the best I could give as far as an explanation in my head, but I couldn't prove it. But I could damn sure tell you, I seen the car roll uphill. It was trickling, but it damn sure was going, and I seen the bubble showing that was on an incline. So I'll back silent up on that.
It's not silent, bro. It's Matrix. Have you guys ever seen that?
I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry, Matrix, man.
It's all good. It's all good, bro. Have you guys ever seen that video about that soldier? It's like a Middle Eastern soldier. He's throwing like a can or something down the mountain, and that bitch just flies back up to the. And every time he throws it, that can just goes back up.
I don't think I've seen that.
They say that again? What was it now?
It's like a Middle Eastern soldier, right? There was two of them in the video, and they're throwing this can down like this mountain, and they will throw it down, and that fucking can will just fly up and land on the floor in the same spot. He'll take it and throw it back down, and it's like it for some reason. I mean, if it's wind, it would just throw it anywhere, right? Because wind is random. It would like put it like on backward, like on the floor, like it's weird. I'm trying to find the video. I saved it like on Facebook. Let's see if I can find it.
I'd like to see that, but I have no clue what you're talking about except for what I've just envisioned in my head from you describing it. I would like to see it. I think one of the magnetic mountains. There's more than one of them, man. I think the one that I seen was in Texas, and it wasn't a mountain. It was like a hill, a big ass hill. I mean, what's the fucking distinction between a mountain and a hill? What is there like a size cutoff point where they start naming it a mountain? And if so, what's that height? Just out of curiosity.
I think there is a certain height. I don't know what it is, but I think there was a movie. I think it's called like The Man Who Went Up a Hill and Came Down a Mountain. I think there might be like basically some plot about how like a village or a group of people decided to take dirt up to the top of this hill until it was technically big enough to be called a mountain or something like that, maybe.
This says here, I just Googled it. It says, according to the U.S. Geological Survey, there's no official difference between hills and mountains. But it says the United Kingdom and the United States used to define hills as summits less than 1,000 feet. However, both countries abandoned this distinction in the mid-20th century.
Oh, maybe not.
Like how they're talking about the if they define it on elevation, they'd have to call all of Antarctica a mountain, just about. But in that one encyclopedia, it said that the land was featureless, or that you crossed the mountains, and then you reached a area that's featureless without any. It's I forgot what they said, but something without feature, void of features, with a dome of 14,000 something feet. So how could it be without? They're trying to say that's the mountains, but it's like it goes out of its way to say it's pretty much away from the mountains, and it says void and featureless of any fucking topology, with a dome of 14,000 feet. To me, that's telling, man. But who knows?
Anyone else think it's kind of strange that they would abandon something that clarifies or distinguishes those two things? Like, it seems like it's possibly antithetical to the whole purpose of language for conveying ideas, for them to take something that has a clarification or has a delineation, something to clarify, and decide we're just going to abandon this, and like make sure that you like there isn't an established difference between a hill and a mountain. Like, what is the purpose of taking away the clarification?
Fusion. That's the purpose. To make it confusing.
Yeah, maybe.
That's another thing. So if the shelf they're on was 2 miles high, then I don't know. But yeah, it seems like that's suspicious right on its face, Bob. I mean,
it seems like it's basically pretty much once he was done saying that, like that they abandoned it in the mid 20th century or whatever, like just very shortly, I'm just thinking like, wait a minute, what would cause a group of people to abandon a clarification? Like, shouldn't we always be moving forward to like clarifying more and more, and like delineating more and more between things that are different, that we know are different, or that we perceive are different? And like in this instance, they like straight up just decided like, no, we aren't gonna tell you what the difference is, or what makes them different. We're done with that now. You don't get to know, or whatever. Like, it just seems weird for it to. It's like they decided to move backwards or something, maybe.
Well, the more we look into it, we probably find the real reason. There's probably something non-direct, as as a consequence of that delineation, man. That somebody's breaking up.
What makes me think is like maybe there's something that they want to make sure that that's not delineated. They want to make sure that there's confusion around that. They want people to wonder what's this or what's that, because then they can do some of their gobbledygook like they do on here all the time with their alleged science down the road or whatever, or if someone starts asking questions or whatever it may be.
You declare science. They do their observational experiments. That's fucking laughable, dude. And no demonstration, just a good story. And then that good story is starts breaking down. It ain't so good the further that you get into the story, man. it just starts contradicting itself, man. But they stick with it, boy. They stick with that science. It's a joke, man. Even if I don't adhere to the strict definition of science, even if I'm a little bit liberal with it, they take it. They're doing the counter. They're pretty much doing the exact opposite of science and calling it science, calling it fact. Just observe and declare.
Here's something weird about the shit they're gonna do. Now, Rumpus says he's gonna do this, do some weird measurement or something. I don't know what the fuck he's got planned, but he said during this measurement, he's gonna make a long range observation or something. During this, he's gonna make refraction measurements so he knows which way the light's bending. So now he's claiming you only need to measure the temperature. I don't know if you guys heard it, but that's his claim. You only need to measure temperature to know which way the light's bending. So I'm guessing if it's hotter on the bottom and colder on the top, it's going to bend one way, and if it's colder on the, if it's reversed, it's going to bend the other way. That would be my initial thought, but I don't know how you would come to any conclusion just off of temperature. So I'm going to have to check with him on that.
Travis has shown single-handedly.
Wishy-washy.
Travis has shown single-handedly, man, that the temperature is, it might play a role, but them effects happen in all sorts of temperatures, especially like the inferior mirage. He's gotten that before sunrise and after sunset. He's got it in the middle of the winter, constantly, and through all kinds of temperature. So if you think about it, man, like the pressure gradient or the humidity gradient, in my opinion, is a main cause to that, because you're always going to, even if you have low moisture, you're still going to have a fairly consistent gradient of it heading up toward the clouds and getting drier when it gets past the clouds and all that. Even if it's like where I'm at, it's real humid, like say 90% humidity almost all the time, or even 100% a lot of the time. And which I don't know how that makes fucking sense, but that's what they say. But even still, where it's more humid, there's still probably a consistent gradient as it dies off to no water, or virtually no water up above the clouds. So I think that has to do with refraction. That's how I kind of designed my model.
The thing was, how they show that, that little plastic piece or something, whatever, behind a propane tank, and then they hit it with the gas or something. And that demonstration, they got it colder at the bottom, and it gets hotter as it goes up from the surface of the thing that's blocking it. So if that's how light bends in that scenario, and all you need to measure is temperature, then if the light's bending, I got Moyak to say earlier that the surface it gets hotter as you go up near the surface, of course, not as you go higher up, but at the surface, you could have hotter air at the bottom colder air at the bottom and hotter air on top. He said you get that during a sunset or a sunrise or something. So that happens all the time, and if that's when you get the reverse effect of looming, or is that when the light sinks? I don't know. His whole observational science thing is fucking ridiculous.
Light seems Light seems to be more influenced to bend towards the colder medium. The less hot the medium is, it seems that light has a little bit stronger of an influence to bend.
Well, let me just say this: the example they were using beforehand.
Brian, hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Sorry to interrupt. But sorry. Did you just? So you're saying on Earth, it gets colder as it goes up, right?
Yeah, he's backwards, I think.
Well, I don't know. I don't know whether the cold medium is on the bottom or the top. Light seems to be influenced a little stronger towards the colder medium.
And it's
not so much about temperature but density. They say that it bends towards the denser medium.
But wait a minute.
That's where the confusion comes in, guys.
But there's a correlation between temperature
and density. Let me say this real quick. Hey, Matrix, that's where the confusion comes in, because they say that the light goes toward the colder, denser, which I'm fine with. The question is because it goes up toward the cold, are we seeing the light lower? If it goes down toward the cold, that's where the confusion comes in, is which way we see, how do we see the light once it refracts? Because the lasers show the direction the light flies. In my opinion, the lasers show the direction the shit refracts, and then light that we see, the shit we see from the, I guess for lack of better explanation, the light rays bouncing off the objects we're seeing. Sounds stupid even saying it, but it may appear higher because the light's refracting downward, or seem lower because the light's refracting upward. But man, I mean, I could easily be convinced otherwise if I've seen some good demonstrations.
I don't really like the word bend. I choose the word deviate, right? Because bend, it gives you like a imprint that the light is physically breaking or something, and to me it's deviating. And I don't know how he could say that it isn't temperature, it's density. Isn't the things that make the air dense a correlation with the temperature?
Yeah, I mean, temperature's got something to do with it, but to me, humidity. I mean, to me, if you're not changing mediums, and air especially, it's such a non-medium. It's the closest thing we're gonna get to a non-medium, is air. So who cares? It's a little bit denser. Oxygen and nitrogen still have the same fucking density, just because the air's a little bit.
Well, the difference is
thicker. It's still got
when we're
the
looking
same
at a
density.
when we're looking
in my
at
opinion,
sun rays. When we're looking at sun rays in the atmosphere, it's pretty much the same temperature. But when it hits the floor, when that heat hits the not the floor, the water, and the vape and those vapors that the water's emitting, that's what I think causes the mirages and the visual trickery, right? Because there's a different it's like two different mediums, the water and then the water vapor that's lightly above the water.
I can agree with that, man. I can definitely agree with that. We never see sinking like I've seen sinking on hot days mainly here in the Atlantic on the east coast of U.S. and Florida, but I've never but the same thing I see sinking on other days. I'll see the whole barge, but I never see that effect on land like you do on water, man. I've never seen anything even close. So I think it has a big part to do with the humidity and the warmer water down with the sun's beaming on it. They say the refraction happens less during the daytime when the sun's stirring everything up. But I'll let somebody else talk, but I'll come back with an example of how that's easily falsified, man. The refraction is gonna start getting less and less the more the temperatures kind of level out and the sun's not freaking stirring everything up.
Jeremy, earlier you was talking about because Johnny B mentioned that we see in straight lines, and I haven't heard that before, but it makes a little sense. You said because the Black Swan, the so-called platform, that sometimes they change, and because of that, you were saying that we don't see in straight lines. But I'm gonna give you an example so you can consider, right? If you ever looked at LEDs, there's this thing with the red and the green and the blue light, right? And they're coming from the same bulb, but every time they switch color, your eyes perceive it in another position. Right, you're still seeing straight to the LED, but because of the color shift change, your eyes perceive it different. So I think what's going on with the light deviating and all of that, it has nothing to do with looking straight, and everything to do with atmospheric distortion, and also how the eye works.
I can agree with. I could see that, and also with them LEDs, they showed them putting the green LEDs and liquid nitrogen and watching them turn a type of orange, and then dipping the orange in there, or a type of yellow, and then dipping the yellow LEDs and watching them turn orange, then dipping the orange one. So they're cooling the LEDs down, and they're slowing down the light. That's how they've got the light down. I think they've got it down now to like 4 meters, 4 meters a second from a super cold medium. But they literally changed the wavelength. They slow it down, and it changes colors down to a lower energy state. So you get the LEDs to literally change colors in the liquid nitrogen, and that says something to me, man. But yeah, it seems like we see straight. There's just distortions and shit way off in the damn distance. As far as like Fight the Flat Earth, talking about you think you see your hand right in front of your face? No, that's not your hand you're actually seeing. That's a refracted hand. That's horse shit. I think everything up close, yeah, I believe, you know, we see in straight lines. I think it is kind of absurd to even have the, like when I even say like bends, it's just for lack of better description, you know.
Yeah, that's why I say deviate. I think deviate sounds better than light bends. It gives it, because to me, I envision something physical, right? And we can't really attribute like light like to a physical thing because it probably doesn't work the same. So to use the word deviation to me makes much more sense.
I'll tell you this, man. Rumpus don't even need thermistors. Look, because all he's gonna do is go out there, and they act like they can look at the temperatures, and he's gonna be in for a rude awakening, because what's really gonna happen is he's gonna make the observation, do the math, and then tell you what the temperatures are, because they're gonna use that refraction to make their model work. That's what it is. It's a freaking error bar, is what I call it. But it's you know, a way of correcting what they claim we see. So they're gonna say we already know how high the is. You know, we know the Earth's curving, so we know that it's got to be a temperature gradient like this. You know, that's how they do the math. It's ad hoc. It's an ad hoc you know, pretty much model. And that's their error bar is the 7/6R and whatnot.
Is that bullshit
It has nothing to do
experiment?
with Snell's law and actual refraction. And one more thing, like Travis even was reading Andrew Thomas Young, you know, and other people the few people that are big into it, and he right out says that they have a severe lack of science when it comes to long distance, you know, demonstrations and experiments. And that's why I always ask for demonstration, because maybe one day I'll get one. They never give us demonstration for long distance refraction. They just give us formulas and error bars and shit. Go ahead.
Is that experiment that he was talking about when he used to go to Nathan Oakley's? Is that the shit that he's still talking about? Rumpus?
Yeah, it's like the canal Bedford level almost, but he's bringing it up off the ground, like I think 26 feet or whatnot.
Dude, he's not gonna do that shit, bro. Or he's not gonna do it, or he did it and he doesn't want to admit that he did it because he doesn't want to reveal the results.
Yeah, we're not going to be hearing about that one soon, but I believe he's already, from what I hear, and I have no reason to doubt that he's already has the little things with the thermistors, little temperature sensors is what they are, and with the markings. I think he's already got them things sort of constructed. But if you want to hear more about that, I think he describes it a lot on Bev Try Thinking channel. I think he's talked the most about it on that. But yeah, same one he's been talking about forever, and he's gonna wait till spring now is the latest update, I think. So yeah, he might already did the shit. Who knows? He's, like I said, he's just gonna use the refraction to explain whatever it is how he sees. So if he sees something different, then he's just gonna change the refraction model, because it's not real popular anyway with the rays bending and shit. Like you said, not even bending to begin with. Or the ray diagram, sorry. Like the ray diagram, I don't think is super popular. Like Snell's law is solid. That's how, you know, they use that, and they could demonstrate that. That's like making glasses or looking through a cup of water, a glass of water. I mean, you know, looking through different mediums. Yeah, that's demonstratable. But this atmospheric shit is the same medium. But to me, the only thing's different is the amount of moisture in the damn air. It's still air. I don't know. But I'm just kind of repeating myself, so.
Yeah, well, so I think I'm gonna close out the actual show here, and then I'll just end the show stream and then start up an after show stream so we can, continue in the after show. But yeah, thanks everyone for coming, and it's a good show. So I think we'll take tomorrow, the 24th and the 25th. There'll be no show because, I mean, as we go into tomorrow, it's going to be, when it's the 24th here, it'll be the 25th for some people around the world. So it's kind of getting to the holiday season. So pick it up after Christmas. So yeah, I hope everyone has a great, holiday and Christmas and everything. And so yeah, before I close it out, if anyone has any last thoughts, go for it.
Catch you guys later. Merry Christmas.
Cool. Sounds good. All right. Well, yeah.
Wait, one question, real quick. I was trying to get in real quick before you close out. If we fill in one of the tickets for a presentation, is there any way we could do like a short presentation on the lab show, or is that like a different time, or a different room or anything? Or if we fill in the tickets, if it's something you're interested in, is there any way we could do the maybe do the demonstrations in another room, maybe, and if you like it, if it's good, or if other people like it, then maybe put it on during the show or something. I mean, what's your thoughts on that, or what's the established rules already, real quick?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I was mentioning before. I mean, this show, it's not necessarily like it's the Earth Awakening's live show, so it can be hosted by anyone that's like moderator or live stream host, but also if someone else wants to host as well, open to that. So it's not necessarily like my show. It's really more of just a show, for the platform. So yeah, I mean, if you want to do a presentation or something during the actual show hours, then yeah, either just let me know, submit a ticket, and then we can, you can do that. Yeah. So during the show, like, if you wanted to do, let's say, a 20-minute presentation for the first hour of the show, and then, and then maybe a question and answer after that, then yeah, we could definitely do that.
Excellent. Thank you. I appreciate that, man. And the reason I'm saying is because it's going to start tipping toward you're gonna start seeing in the next couple weeks where you have different cast after show, the 24-hour, but the show's going to start getting more and more views. It's gonna, so it'll get out to more people, I believe, within the next couple weeks. That particular stream that you post will, in my opinion, like I said, the live show will wind up with lopsided views, so it'll reach more people. But all right, thank you, and happy holidays, everybody.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, thanks, Brian. And yeah, I mean, when this platform originally launched, there's this setup for the hosting, especially having the multiple live streams, so we could have different things. I wanted to address too that, I mean, basically, yeah, like you could do a presentation or, schedule a debate or anything during this actual show, but then there's also the capacity to schedule something outside of, the hours of this show as well. So let's say if you wanted to do something separate, that would be like basically like your own 2-hour show or 3-hour show or whatever it may be, that can also be scheduled, and that can be done in one of the rooms as well. So just wanted to throw that out there. But yeah, I mean, that's been kind of part of the design of this whole platform. And then, the first kind of month or two, we were just kind of getting everything ironed out and, keeping the streams that we're running as is. And then, now is the time to kind of start this show, and then, welcome more, everybody in to do, different kinds of hosting and shows as well. So, so yeah, thanks so much, everyone, for the show today, and hope everyone has a great holiday season, and we'll pick it up after the Christmas holiday. So blessings to everyone, and yeah, hope you all have a good one. And I'll start up the after show stream so we can continue.